there are differences in each platform that we're on, right? But if we're here to run a business, then hopefully we're here to actually get clients and make money. We're selling something, we're selling a service or a product. And then I feel like too, there's a lot of confusion between the conversation of growing on Instagram, which you're the queen of, and then growing in your marketing with your actual business. Those two things are different conversations.
Yes.
And today we're talking about the strategic approach to using content online, not just on Instagram, but online that attracts and nurtures and converts your ideal client.
Yes. Love that. So do you want me to start with
Yeah,
attraction
sure.
and content?
Go ahead.
Okay. So attraction content, no matter what platform you are on, is going to be geared towards more simple type of tips, tricks, hacks, or not necessarily hacks, but tips, tricks, step by step, that kind of thing, lists, things like that. The whole point of attraction content is to get yourself out there, let people know that you exist and that what you provide, what you help with. If you are in health and wellness, then you can provide your top 5 workout routines or top 5 vitamins that you take on a daily basis to maintain your weight, things like that. You want to give simple yet actionable tips that people can take and run with. The reason for this is there's a lot of beginners out there. There's a lot of people that want to know, okay, how do I do this? How do I jump in? How do I even start this new journey that I want to take of growing a business, of losing weight, of, reversing my age, of whatever it is that your niche is.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know, what to do. So as for growth content, you want to post more for the beginners out there, the people that aren't quite sure yet what to do. They just want some quick tips. They may not even be completely submersed into wanting this transformation for themselves. And your job then as the marketer of your business is to convince them that that's what you want them to, or that's what they want to do. That's when it moves into more of nurturing content, which I'll let Shalee take that one. But when it comes to attracting, you are making it easy for them. You're making it super simple. You're bringing in the beginners. You are attracting a new audience. You're getting some actionable tips that makes people say, oh, this was really interesting. Thank you so much. And they give you a follow because they want to know more about that topic, more about that subject.
Mm-hmm.
That's not where your content strategy ends, though. It moves on into the next layer, which I'll let Shalee take.
Yeah, and you said that so well because we're wanting to keep it super small, super simple. We're trying to attract potentially a wide range of people who have different experience levels. But that awareness that you exist is the key. And then once you get the awareness phase kind of checked off the list, then you're looking at the nurturing part of the funnel. And so for the nurturing part of the funnel, I like to think of it as you're loving on your audience a bit with your content. And that can look a variable amount of ways. Some people like to really focus on things that are inspirational focused. And we're not necessarily talking about just really surface level things with, inspiring quotes and things like that. We're really trying to meet them where they are, but it always needs to feed back to your specialty. What is it that you're offering? Because at the end of the day, it's about the end game. It's about the offer and how you can transform the life of the person who is reading your content. And so in the nurturing phase, I like to really think of it too as the place where we can really spread that empathy around. We can really meet them where they are, right in the middle of their problem, and help them understand that we understand. And you can use variable tools for that. And I like to use tools that say, I've been there, done that. So in my storytelling with my content, I like to say, I'm sure you totally get this, but have you ever, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean when I say, I feel like blah, blah, blah when this happens? So it is very much a storytelling approach that I like to take with the nurturing phase. I don't know about you, Ginger, but I think when we meet people where they are and they believe us, right? We really grab them in this phase. I think it's a very, very critical phase. It keeps them following along. It keeps them coming back for more, but it really shows them that we empathize with them, that we understand. I love the nurturing phase.
I do
Yeah.
too. Well, being community focused, that is
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah.
Is that one. Those posts are always the ones that I'm always like, yay! Like I'm really excited to post them.
Yeah. It's like right in your wheelhouse. It feels so genuine and natural because I think with you too, Ginger, with your content, I can hear your voice.
Oh,
I can hear your voice and I can really picture your heart as you reach out through your content. I think that's the reason that you've exploded the way that you have. You have really put your thumb on that and done very, very well at that.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I love that. I can tell with yours too. I can hear your voice as well, especially since we've been doing lives and we've been talking. Now your voice is like right there, and I always hear you.
We're Southern sisters too. We've got that little Southern draw going on.
We really do.
Yeah.
We do. I thought of you the other day. I used y'all in my caption, and I've never like trusted myself to do that. Just like my brain I'll type it out and I'm like, nope, wall, I will go ahead and spell it out. But the other day I left it and I was like, Shalee's going to be so proud of me.
Yeah, because I'm sure that if you and I were meeting for coffee right now, you would throw around a y'all, right? It's just it's a colloquialism. It's part of how we talk. And so I think with social media content in particular, it really allows us to sort of get in there and be really, really human with each other. Don't you?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So with nurturing content, like Shalee was saying, one of my favorite things to do, Shalee was talking about storytelling, which is an amazing way to connect with people. And that's really what you're doing, is you are connecting. My favorite is to share my opinions of things. Like I will share, I shared a while back my thoughts on Reels. I did not like Reels at the time when they were all about going viral and everybody was like 7-second Reels. I was like, that doesn't work for me because I can't give people any value in 7 seconds. I just can't. That's impossible. So I made a whole post about my opinion of Reels at the time and that I just wasn't liking it. I didn't like it. I wasn't going to do it. And I was going to continue doing carousels because that's where I can deliver the value. When you stand for something, when you stick your foot in the sand or whatever that saying is, and you stand for something that other people are then going to go, oh, right. Yeah, I feel the same way. 7 seconds is not good enough, amount of time. Then it shows that you're not like everybody else. You're not just going to follow the crowd. You are going to stand up for who you are and what you believe in. And you're going to attract people and nurture relationships with people who feel the same way.
Yeah, I think that's so, so important what you just said. You're not going to just follow the crowd.
Yeah.
Because that really leads us into the next phase too. We're talking about trust building there. When you speak with an authority, when you say something that sounds different than what everyone else is saying, then people, sit up a little straighter and they start to pay attention to what you have to say. And then as you continue to sort of feed them, really you're just feeding their situation. You're feeding they recognize themselves in you. And when you start to do that, you build that level of trust and you present yourself as an authority on a topic rather than, I hate to say it, but rather than a sheep, because there's so many sheep out there. And I feel like people are looking for something that feels like home. They're looking for themselves within you. And I feel like we get so jaded about marketing, man. It's almost like we've done to marketers what we've done to poor attorneys, right? Like we've labeled them and there are some bad ones out there. And there's some really bad people out there who gatekeep and who, really aren't in it for you. They're in it for themselves. But when you really align yourself with someone's belief system and you can see their authenticity, and I don't mean that they're showing every second of their day and being vulnerable about all their junk, but they're being themselves, and you do that very, very well as well. So you're a pro of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree with you, which brings us into conversion content. And I know that you'll have some to say about this too, so I'll give this to you as well.
Okay.
I'll just say real quick, with conversion content, you are changing people's minds. I like to go on from what Shalee was saying about belief shifting. When you then take a piece of content that you're nurturing people with and it does well, then the next logical step for me is to take that, okay, this opinion, a lot of people agreed with it, this nurturing content did really well. I will then move that over into belief shifting and have a rather than this, do this type of post, which is a conversion type of piece of content. It's going along the same lines. It's talking about the same topic. It's using what you already know is working with your audience and feeling that they already have a thought that they already have with you and that they agree with you with. Then when you have a content strategy, you can take that all the way from growth to nurturing, or attract to nurturing to conversion, all about the same topic, about the same discussion that you know is doing well. You got followers on this topic. You then nurtured an audience with that topic, and now you can convert with that topic. That's the beauty of marketing. And like Shalee said, we get a bad rap sometimes, but when you use it, when you look at what is going on, when you look at your insights, when you look at the topics that are doing well in the comment section, the comment section is not in your insights, but it is such a powerful place to learn what people are resonating with. If you get, I mean, we're all going to get great posts on our posts, but if you notice that a lot of people are very disengaged, they're engaging to engage, and they're not really giving themselves in your comment section, you kind of have to look at that piece of content and say, okay, this one didn't hit. This one, let's look at the reasons why. Was it too, was it over their head? Was it too complicated? Did I not tell a story with it? Did I not make it, easy to understand? What did I do wrong that I can fix? And you move that along with your attract, nurture, and convert type of content. So Shalee, I will let you talk more about conversion content.
That's fantastic. And I think what you said too about testing the comments is so, so valuable. And frankly, for my own content, I actually pay more attention to that, to the actual engagement, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, actually more than I even pay attention to the insights, because they're just numbers. Those numbers can be affected, as we know, by a lot of different things. But for the people who do show up and who do hit pause and spend their valuable time to engage with me, I test that, man. And when I'm getting a lot of great posts, or a few emojis, I'm like, okay, did I not give them something they could bite into, that they could interact with me on? Or are they just in a hurry? And again, there's many reasons that sort of thing happens. But when we're trying to convert our audience, we need to get more into the meat. We need to pay attention to that feedback. We need to pay attention to that engagement. And yes, we need to look at our insights. But we have to also remember that people don't pay us for information. They pay us for our insight and our impact. They pay us for implementation, right? And so with this particular phase, I like to get more detailed and get into that meat, really get into the how-tos of things, present case studies. I think case studies are a great way, especially with your website or with your email campaigns. Again, we're talking beyond just Instagram here. Let's dig a little deeper, because it's about your whole digital presence and making sure that all works together and brings your audience through that journey to get them to the end game, which is you providing transformation. So in this particular phase, I think getting into, many almost like tutorials. We've got the guides option. I never really got into that with Instagram. I don't know if you did. Did you get into guides? Did you? Okay. I never really bit with that. And I think it's because in the early days, I was spending so many hours on my carousel, like an embarrassing amount of time. And I would never, ever advise a client to ever do what I did when starting, because you just, even yesterday, I fight it. Oh my gosh. I posted a carousel about stories yesterday. And as soon as I put them into Instagram, before I hit post, I caught two things that were just inconsistent, right? Like one letter wasn't capitalized where it was capitalized in other places. And I was this close to deleting and re-downloading from Canva. And I'm like, this is bogus. waste of time crap that we do that keeps us from showing up. And the
Yeah.
truth is that you can't convert anybody, friends, until you show up. You show up and you speak out about the thing that you have in-depth knowledge about, the thing that you can offer. I think this is a great place to show what am I trying to say? To show social. God, like, where's my caffeine? Show social proof. I think this is a fantastic place to do that. Our friend Lindsay Berta did a great job with that today. She shared a fantastic video testimonial, a really in-depth testimonial of a true experience from an actual client. And I was sitting there going, for whatever reason, most of my clients tend to be of the male gender. And I feel like it's a little bit harder to get them to do that type of a personal testimonial, not to make a sweeping statement. But I was sitting there looking at Lindsay's testimonial going, man, that is so impactful. And we all need to try to implement that, because I think when we're converting, that social proof is so powerful to say, yes, this person is an authority. This person really, where the rubber meets the road, they're there and they know what they're talking about. This is worth your time, your money, and at least a follow. So I think this phase is obviously where, the buck stops, because if we cannot convert 50 followers, how are we going to convert 50,000 followers?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's hard,
Yep.
but it's true.
That is so true. That's reality.
Yeah.
It's the way that it is. I love those video testimonials. They're more of an ask, and it's tougher to ask anybody. I think men, women, I've had both in my program, and both. It's tough to ask because it's going to take time. And you want them to spend their time implementing what they've learned. So it's always like, can you just kind of like
I don't know if this is my upbringing. Maybe you can relate to this, Ginger, too, being in the same part of the country, but I just feel bad about putting anybody out for me.
Yeah.
It's this inner conversation that I have with myself, even asking for a Google review, which we know takes a minute.
Yeah.
But I know that people are super busy, and just trying to get them to remember to do it is a challenge. And then you feel like you're kind of badgering if you have to go back and remind.
Yep.
And I think the thing about the video testimonials, beyond it being obviously, impactful to the audience who doesn't maybe know you as a provider, you have to be super intentional as the person who is providing the testimonial, right? You have to really think it through. Maybe you're nervous about being on camera. There's all kinds of things that come into play when you ask somebody to do that. So I'm with you. It's really hard to do it, but man, she knocked it out of the park. So if you have not checked that out, go to Berta Marketing and check out her page today at her video testimonial that she shared from one of her clients. It's amazing.
Yeah. Those are great, because we always get, I don't care who you are. Yeah. I do it. We all do it. We always get a little bit of FOMO from that. We're like, wait a minute, she got that. Like when we see somebody's face, obviously we trust more what we see. We trust people's faces. We trust what we see in their eyes and things like that. So when we see those, I'm always like, oh, I want that. I want that for myself. You want that more so when you see a video testimonial. So they're super, super impactful for a lot of reasons. For FOMO, for all these things.
Yes. And can I say too, I think that is another great point, the power of community, because I think those of us who are behind the scenes, who are offering a service in the marketing field in particular, we're sharpening each other every time we see what one of us is doing, right? And not only are you cheering them on or giving them a shout out like we just did for Lindsay, but it makes you want to be better and show up better for your audience too. So it just goes back to, as you again are the queen of, the power of a strong community.
Yeah, that's huge. I try to push as much as possible to learn while you are engaging. Just to engage does you no good whatsoever. You can engage for 12 hours a day, and if you don't have intention behind your engagement, it's just not going to get you anywhere.
You are so right.
learning while you are engaging, just like, that was memorable for you. Lindsay's post was memorable for you, and it made you think, it made you talk about it. It's going to make me think, it's going to make me talk about it. So that sort of thing is what I haven't gotten to her post today.
Yeah. I watched it, don't tell anybody, I watched it at a traffic light. So I've not had the time to comment on it, but I saw it. I'll go back to it. I was running to a client meeting and I pulled out my phone and I was like, oh, that's so amazing.
I typically see Lindsay's, but
yeah,
I've not. It's been weird today. Yeah. I have not seen some posts anyway. So yeah,
it's weird today. I feel like the last few days things have been really weird on the platform. So I don't know. We're gearing up for the holidays. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe. So again, if you have any questions, pop them into the question box so that we can answer any of those. Today we're talking about content strategy. We just went over attracting, nurturing, and converting. Not only on Instagram, but on just as your social media as a whole. This works everywhere and anywhere. Like a lot of Instagram coaches like myself will talk about Instagram because that is our niche and that's what we do. However, most of what you hear works on all social media platforms. People are people, no matter what platform you are on, unless it's a search engine platform like YouTube or Pinterest. Even then, engagement will work, but it's not as dependent as it is on other platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, things like that. So strategies will work. These strategies will work on all of your social media platforms. Shalee, did you want to talk further about that? Because I know that I'm more Instagram, you go on into other social media platforms. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I address digital marketing services, overall. So all of the major platforms I cover for my clients. I don't get into TikTok, but all the other ones, that you would think of or you would list in a normal conversation, there is power on all of them. But the true power, when you really tap into game-changing presence for your business, is when it all works together. And so the strategies that you apply to a platform like Instagram, which by the way is my favorite, I think it is the most powerful organic tool for reaching your audience right where they are, heads above all the other platforms, in my humble opinion and in my experience. So I feel like my main focus with clients is definitely on their Instagram strategy, but I don't create a different strategy for Facebook or a different strategy for LinkedIn. It's the same strategy played out with the rules of those particular platforms and working with those particular algorithms. I feel like the thing that we need to mention here is the power of consistency. And consistency of message, consistency of presence, consistency with your branding, all of those things, consistency with that engagement on all of those platforms is very, very important. And then the top three for me are Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Especially if you're a business to business, LinkedIn is powerful. But those three platforms give us really great opportunities for engaging. And it's that engagement that builds those raving fans that goes offline, makes them pick up the phone and call you, or makes them send you that email. And I don't want to leave out or underestimate the power of an email list, because in that conversion, when we're talking about converting our audience, man, email can be so powerful. That longer form content, even in the form of blogs for your website, the strategy is the same. Your voice should be the same on all of those platforms.
Absolutely. Yes. I love that. Yeah. I love email marketing. I think we talked about this briefly last time you and I talked, but that's like my favorite thing to write each week. And when I get messages, either DMs or an email back from somebody saying, this was a great email, that just makes like my whole week. It's funny. Yeah, it will, and it's funny to me because, I will get a bunch of comments on my posts and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love every single one of them.
Yeah.
But that butterfly stomach feeling when I get a response from an email.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Well, And I think it's because I actually had that happen to me last month. And I was the message in my email was about the power of your branding. And where I was in that moment was I was trying to speak to the person who was not well versed on a platform like Instagram. They don't hear daily the things that you and I and all of our friends hear on a platform like this, right? We're always talking about branding and messaging and marketing. But the people that I was speaking to in that moment were the small business owners who are wearing all of the hats, who maybe have kind of gotten really excited and started and launched, but now they're realizing that they don't have that foundation built for their business. And that begins with creating a brand. And I had somebody reply back to that email, and it was one sentence. And she simply said, "Wow, this email has really made me stop and think." And it literally put tears in my eyes, because isn't that why we spend all of this time cultivating these messages? I mean, it's work to send out an email, man. It takes time. You're pouring your heart into those messages. And I think it really does change your day or your week, because you realize that it normally is one-sided. We just get those things in our inbox and we glaze over them, or we send them to junk because we're in a hurry or whatever. But when somebody takes the time to read it and then hit reply and type something, it's like mind-boggling for me.
It really is. Yeah, it still blows my mind. Like every time I get a response, I'm like, oh, like the butterflies that are all giddy and like
extra. It's just extra, like cherry on top. Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
But email is, man, it is so powerful for that content strategy. Your email campaigns absolutely should be a part of your content strategy.
Yes, I 100% agree. I mean, we talked about, that was a huge topic on Instagram like a few years ago, where people were talking about, what if we lost on Instagram tomorrow? And it was like, it went around for a while where that was a huge topic. Everybody was talking about it, and to focus on email. And then it just kind of died off. I wish we would bring that trend back and start talking about it again, because especially like we started this conversation with the glitches that we're seeing on the platform.
That's right.
It's just another reminder that we are here on rented space. And if we don't take advantage of the audience and move them around to other locations like our email, then, we could lose touch with all this work done.
It's funny that you said that. My morning began with a text from another marketing professional who I work with. I built a relationship with this individual on this platform a few years ago, and it's turned into a great working relationship. And she texted me, and it was a screenshot from one of her past clients. They had lost their Facebook page, and this guy is in the entertainment industry. And it was over 20,000 people on Facebook. And that's a large number for Facebook. And it's been hacked. And right away, they feel that panic, and they've lost their voice, at least temporarily. But if you have your email list, if you have your website so that you know that your clients and your audience can still find you, then that's what you have to lean on the times when Instagram's glitchy, or any platform goes down, or your account gets hacked, or you get locked out. Because let's face it, we all know people who have lost their accounts on a platform like this with thousands of people. They have been separated from their audience for one reason or another. And sometimes they get those back, and sometimes they don't. So let's not take the risk, friends. Have an email list.
Have an email list, and join the email list of people that you really like.
Yes.
I mean, even if you don't pay attention to the email most of the time, having that connection, I join email lists of my friends on Instagram. Just
me too, sister. Me too. And because too, most of us are not swapping our cell phone numbers. We tend to chat in the DMs, right?
Yeah.
And if you lose the platform, then you lose that conduit to your cohort, basically. And I don't know about you, but I'm a one-woman band over here most days, and I lean on you guys.
I do too. Yeah, the whole building a community and having people around you that are like-minded.
Yeah.
In that nurture part of your content, finding like-minded people who will resonate with you, who will be there for you, because it's not all roses. There's going to be tough days. We are all going to have tough days. We've all had them. We're all going to have them. So it is so nice to be able to DM someone and say, Shalee, I'm
You.
having a day.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. Lindsay and I were swapping stories the other day because sometimes you're just like, I just need to run this experience by someone else. And you tell me, am I crazy? How would you handle this situation? Because here's what I'm about to say.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. It's like we're an office team and, we all live in different parts of the country or even the world. I think about Alan Creasy, who I adore, who's over in the UK. I know you've done some collabs, I think, with Alan in the past. We've never met. We probably never will meet, but I count him a true friend.
Yeah.
And that is the power of this platform. And frankly, it's the power of your content strategy too, because you're maybe not necessarily attracting a client, but you're attracting a partner in many ways. The person who can pitch you to someone else if someone comes to them, if they trust you and they trust your services because of a relationship like this right here, maybe you can't serve a person that comes to you tomorrow, but Shalee can.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? The power of that is just something I feel like so many people underestimate. And some days it's the thing that keeps me coming back to this platform. It's that community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. You said that. So I love the way that you said that. It's so great because, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I'm not a social media manager.
Yeah.
What do you think happens when people come to me and they truly, they're like, I don't want to learn it on my own. Yeah. I want to hire somebody. Okay, great. Here are my friends. Here are the people that I trust here. This is who I would suggest. Interview them. See which one you choose. Pick from the people that I know, like, and I trust. Yes. So there is huge opportunity in forming relationships with peers, with other people who do what you do. It's so impactful and highly underestimated, I think.
Think about
a lot of people.
Networking. I think when we think networking, we think about it, in our local community, which we should absolutely do. Especially if you're a service-based business, you need to be out and about your local community and be known for your services. However, don't neglect the power of networking online because, as you said, we do refer each other. And, I have bought services from my peers, from my cohorts. Maybe they're excellent in an area that I feel I need some work on. If you offer a course, I may be signing up for your course. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like it's just so powerful for so many reasons. And you said it at the very beginning of this conversation. You said that you like to not just engage, but to learn too. You're constantly absorbing and growing, and you're learning from the different perspectives of your peers. You might be there to give them a little engagement and support, but that is like being in the room with each other. This is our storefront, man. This is our storefront. If you came in and the bell jingled, I'd be over there giving you a hug. Hey, Ginger, how are you today? And I feel like when we think content strategy, it's very technical and we can get very caught up in that. But at the end of the day, we are humans interacting with humans, and this is our virtual storefront, and we should be inviting them to come on in.
Absolutely, yes. So we had a couple questions that came through in the comments the first one, just because we are talking about this, she asked, and I'm not going to try her, Kati or I'm going to get that wrong. She asked, this is interesting. How can we know someone I can trust? So that's a great question. For me, I work with people for a while. Like, oh gosh, Shalee, how long have we known each other on Instagram?
Maybe 3 years now. Yeah, close to that.
So I don't look at someone and, see their content for 5 days and think, oh, I trust them. It is a long-term relationship. You are in this for the long game, and it is a long-term relationship. A lot of times you will get a better feel from people when you do collabs with them. You get, honestly, a great feel from people from looking at their content every day. When you are in the niche with someone, when you're in the same niche with someone else, and you are out there networking and you are engaging, you are going to find that even though Instagram is this huge space with billions of people, you're going to find a small community with people that know each other, and everybody's going to know everybody. Like Shalee and I were talking about Lindsay. She didn't have to even say, when she said the name Lindsay, I was like, which one? There's two. And when she said Lindsay Berta, immediately I know who she's talking about. You'll find that you are in a big space, but a smaller community. When you niche down and when you network, you will be engaging with the same circle of people. And when you do that, you notice, you pick up on things. If I were to say something on my post today and I would contradict myself by going on to Lindsay's post and agreeing with her on a totally different opinion than my own, you would see that. So it is a trust building thing that happens over time by being aware of who you are surrounding yourself with, paying attention to what's going on, and that trust builds up over time. What are your thoughts on that, Shalee?
I think you nailed that. And I would just dovetail off of what you just said, Ginger. I definitely watch content closely. And as you said, that takes a lot of time. That's not just a few days of content. I look for patterns, and I can figure out pretty quickly whether I read their bio or not, which, by the way, you should be able to do it from the bio. But I can figure out pretty quickly what they're an expert in, right? Just by following for the content for a little while. The other thing I would say is I see you all over the platform. Like you said, we're in a small community here. We're in a bit of a fishbowl here, but we're running in the same circles. Maybe not everybody is in there for me. You have a huge following. You absolutely know more people and interact with more accounts than I do. But the same core group of people would be included in that. And so my behavior on someone else's account is affecting what you think of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have said, as you said, if I have said one thing in my content, but I have liked, even just liked a post that has an opposite message, I have just degraded that trust between us.
Yeah.
Right. It's a little nick, but if I do that repeatedly, now I'm like, I've lost Ginger. I've lost her respect. I've lost her trust, and she's never going to refer me. So our behavior on other accounts also matters in that trust building.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question, which is a great question as well. What lead magnets are the best to build an email list, do you think?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like lead magnets they're a sore spot for me. They're a sore spot for me because I don't currently have one out. I was just telling somebody the other day, I'm like, I feel like such a hypocrite, but I had gone through a rebrand, a refresh. I like to say a true brand is what I did this year, because I had launched as Clover Lane Marketing just to try to hurry and get my business launched. And then I spent a year in that, and it just wasn't right. And I had DIY'd it. Wasn't me, right? So I invested in my business. I put my money where my mouth is. And I invested in my brand and changed my name along with that to bring Shalee in. It's the whole thing. But anyway, I did that. And in doing that, I haven't yet hit pause and created a new lead magnet. I'm constantly telling clients, you got to have one, you got to have one, and even doing it for them, but to stop and do it for myself. So that's why it's a sore spot. But I think some of the best lead magnets can be highlighted here on this platform in our link in bio. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the link trees personally. If we need multiple links, I would just recommend you make a page on your website or your landing page, right? Are you of that same thought, Ginger?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. 100,000%. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like if we create too many barriers to entry, if we make it too challenging, there's too much to read, if they can't just click and go, we've created that barrier to entry. So I would recommend linking it in your bio via a page that you own, such as a landing page or a website. But I believe a freemium is the best way to get an email list growing. Now, I also would say, at the very, very least, have a pop-up on your website or your landing page so that you can immediately capture and you can incentivize. Maybe you're given a free chat away, or a discovery call or something like that that's highlighted in your pop-up, and capture those emails so that you're building that offline. It's technically still online, but you know what I mean, community that you own. But having a lead magnet that is a free guide, whatever your niche is, whatever your expertise is, I would recommend that it's many pages. I don't think you want to do something, halfway. I like to do things full throttle. And even if I'm giving it away for free, I'm asking for their email. I'm asking for their investment in me by providing the email. Maybe not their dollar, but certainly their time. And so I feel like it needs to be 5 to 10 pages in that zone there. But it just needs to be a very detailed guide of something that you're an expert in. And that could be 100 different things, right, Ginger?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I would trail off of what I talked about a little bit ago about you have a topic and you post an attraction piece of content. It does well. So then you do a nurture piece of content
Yes.
with it. Then that does well. And you do a conversion piece of content with it. Follow along with that. Pay attention to what your audience wants.
Yes.
You can ask them in stories. You can poll your audience in stories and ask them what they want. You can look at what I like to do is I look at the content, the topics that people are engaging genuinely with
Yeah.
the most, because we talked about that as well, genuinely engaging with the most. And I take a look at that and I might put it in stories and say, what would you like more information on if I offered it? And I will have it in stories with that as an option with like my top topics in my posts from going through that. Then choose one of those things. And like Shalee said, create a freebie out of that. Create a free guide, a list. Depending on your niche, there's a ton of different things that you can do. But just like she said, or Shalee said, you want it to be valuable. This is not something that you want to just throw together in a few hours and put out there. This has to be better than your content. This has to be better than something that you would post on Instagram or something you would post on LinkedIn or another social media platform. This does require them to type in their information, to trust you enough with their email address to not spam them and things like that. So you want to deliver on that. This is your next step in conversions. So if you are warming people up, then you want to deliver them with something that is extremely valuable for them, so that they're saying to themselves, man, if this is what she delivers for free, imagine what her paid offer gives. So you want that sense, that feeling of FOMO to come in there where they're, oh my gosh, what could I be missing if it's this good? So make sure that you spend the time, that you do the research, that you put in the effort to make sure that this freebie is worth their time investment.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say too, to avoid being generic. Remember that they can go Google any topic, but if they're giving you their email, avoid being generic and sprinkle aspects of you. Give them a taste of what it would look like to work with you. As Ginger said, if this is what you give away for free, then what would it be like to actually pay you for your services? You are trying to entice them. You're not just dangling a carrot for the fun of it. You are trying to entice them. You're trying to convert them. You are trying to earn their trust. I would also use stories because they're definitely your warmer audience. So once you have that lead magnet created, you can show that off in your stories. You can link it in your stories. And certainly, as Ginger said, she's absolutely spot on. Content strategy element there of working up to it, of knowing what it is that they're interested in. It should all be right there in your content for you to see and to give.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a great question.
That was a great question. That is the last one that I saw. I was just going through the comment section and seeing if I missed any. I don't see anything.
I don't either.
All right. Well, that is all I had. If you don't have anything else, I think we'll go ahead and end.
Yeah. We've had a great chat. I've really enjoyed it, Ginger, as always.
Me too. Thank you so much for coming on. Have a great rest of your day. And I'm gonna go check out I'm gonna go check out Lindsay's post.
Oh yeah, I've got to go back and comment on it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.